Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to welcome you all for this podcast series, brainchild of our Fogsi president, Sunita Tandulwadkar. Uh, Actually, this is one of the most successful projects of our Foxy president, Sunita Tandulwadkar ma'am. This is actually 256th episode. Uh, in this podcast, we have Shyamal Setzer. Our Foxy president is in Cape Town. Our speaker has also joined from Cape Town. On behalf of our Foxy president, our dynamic vice president from Calcutta, Shyamal Setzer, who is the past MTP committee chairperson and also medico-legal expert, giving consultation for various hospital and also conducted various prestigious conferences in Calcutta, requesting our Vice President to bless the program on behalf of our Foxy President, Sunita Tandulwadkar ma'am.
So thank you very much, Dr. Kalpana. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege. Series once a month. That's a tremendous, I think, opportunity to coordinate, to cooperate with different experts. Just like you have today have selected another stalwart of Foxy. We can never forget Madam Joydeep Malhotra. And I know her from those days when I used to be representing the Ignite programs. Madam, I believe you can well remember. I used to organize the Ignite programs and attend it in different parts of the country. And so without wasting much time, Kalpana, go ahead with your event, go ahead with your conversation with Madam Joydeep Malhotra. And I think whoever have been listening these programs are going some important information and input as far as this event is concerned. So go ahead. Madam, thank you once again very much for joining from Cape Town. We are indeed indebted to you for attending this program organized by Kalpana. And again, congratulations for this award. This is a huge pride for the Foxy. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shyamal sir, for your blessings. So now I, Dr. B. Kalpana, Foxy Infertility Committee Chairperson, will have a conversation with Dr. Joydeep Malhotra ma'am, past president of Foxy and also pioneer in the field of reproductive medicine. To introduce Madam, who is the director of Rainbow IVF Hospital, and also past president of Foxy, ISAR, Aspire, and also past REI committee chairperson of FIGO. She is also an editor-in-chief of Suffolk journals, and she has also received various prestigious journals. Madam, it is our honor to have you here in this podcast. So we all know that you have the credit of first IVF ICSI baby of UP. And when did you get into the field of reproductive medicine? In the initial days, it is not a smooth journey getting media and disposables, all those things, preparing media by ourselves. It is a difficult task. When did you enter into it, and what was the difficulties you faced at that time?
Thank you, Kalpana. And I bring you all greetings from Cape Town, where we are attending the FIGO conference. And it's a real pleasure to be a part of this podcast. And as I would say, I graduated in 1982 and then, did my MD in 1986. And after doing gynae, I always wanted to do IVF. I mean, that was there in my mind, but I got married into a family which was running an first maternity hospital of Uttar Pradesh. So I actually am the third generation OBGYN in my family. And to create a niche for yourself, because my mother-in-law, my father-in-law were very, very popular obstetricians of Agra and also Uttar Pradesh. So for me to create a niche for myself, it was like an evolution. I mean, I knew I really don't want to pursue obs for a very, very long time. I want to do, IVF, but it was a journey because at that point of time, IVF was very, very new. I went for my first training right in 1986. But when I came back, I realized I can't do it in a tier two city. Firstly, no awareness about IVF. Secondly, at that point of time, as you said, all the media and all those challenges were there. So I asked my mother-in-law, she said, put your head down and, do obs first. And I had already done my, thesis in ultrasound. So I had a real base. So I started with ultrasound, OBGYN, and, a little bit of IUI. Then in 1995, I went for my endoscopy training to Bielefeld in Germany. And when I went there, I went for 15 days for endoscopy training. But when I went there, their IVF program and Professor Tine Berg became a very, very dear friend. And I said, sir, I don't want to go back only with endoscopy. Can I sort of refresh my IVF training? But I don't have the money and I really don't know what to do. I'll come and cook in your house. So that's how he said, "No, you're most welcome. You please, stay back." And he organized a room in the hospital for me to stay. And I stayed back and I refreshed my ART also. And once I came back, there was no looking back because endoscopy unit, it started thriving. The moment you start doing infertility endoscopies, IVF is the next step. So in 1996, we established our IVF unit. I took help of Dr. Jatin Shah from Mumbai because at that point of time, there were no embryologists available. The media was not available. Even in my hospital, there was actually no space. So we had a library in our house, which was on top of the hospital. I converted that into an IVF lab. And that unit, really thrived. Jatin helped me for a very, very long time, like almost about 4 or 5 years. And there were huge challenges in a tier two city, especially the power breakdowns. We used to not have power for like 8 hours. So the media, the disposables, nothing was available. Our embryologist also used to fly down from Mumbai. Sudesh Kamath was the embryologist. But before that, I had actually gone to Korea also to train to the very, very known, wonderful place, Cha Hospital. So my first ICSI batch was performed by an embryologist from the Cha Hospital itself. His name was Om. And after that, Sudesh helped us. And since then, it has really been a journey. But I achieved the first pregnancy in, like, we had a biochemical pregnancy in the very first batch of only 3 patients. And it wasn't really a biochemical, it was an ectopic pregnancy. And in the second batch of 7 patients, we achieved our first pregnancy. And after that, there was no looking back. So it's really been a great journey, but full of challenges. I mean, I can go on and on with the stories of all the challenges we faced.
And over these years, you have created smiles in various families. And you said about your mother-in-law, but about Dr. Malhotra and your children, your family support in this journey is really important. I think
Yes.
can you please tell us about that?
Yeah. for all of us. It's not only for women, I think more particularly for women, but even for men also. The family support is very, very important. And I have been exceptionally blessed, I would say, because I came into a joint family. So there was a grandmother-in-law, then there were father-in-law, mother-in-law, then I had two sister-in-laws also. And all of us, when we were working, we had a rule in the house, like 24 into 7. We used to deliver about 120 to 150 babies per month. So you can imagine like 5, 6, 7, 8 coming every day. And it was like round the clock, the hospital is running. And one person used to be awake through the 24 hours. So we had set a clock like that, like, early morning who will go, afternoon who will go, and evening night calls. So me and Nareem used to take the night calls. And even when, like, we got married when we were interns. So, and I had my first one, Niharika, when I just finished my house job. And Niharika was brought up for the next 2 years by my mother-in-law. In spite of all that heavy work she was doing, I went back to do my MD. So the support system started from there itself. And once we came into the family, everyone knew. Like my mother-in-law was from Mumbai. And, very, very, I would say, ambitious and a fantastic obstetrician. So both me and Naren were very inspired by her. Like, she would really push us to do this. Why don't you go and do an MRCOG? At least one of us, you should go and learn endoscopy. She brought in the first ultrasound and the laparoscopy and, all that we then took further with IVF and many other things. So the support system, especially like for me, when I had children, uh, it was an unsaid rule. If I was going down for a delivery, and if the children are awake, Naren would look after them and, take them to drop them to school or back their breakfast and all that. And if he's working, I would do, or, somebody from the family would pitch in. So it was a huge, family network, which actually made us achieve what both of us have achieved in our lives. Because I think it was a very rare feat for both of us to become presidents of not only Foxy, also of ESAR, and many other INSARG, many other organizations, but it was because of the family support. And I also feel I have to give credit to Agra, because coming from Agra, it registered in people's mind because of the Taj Mahal. People do say a lot of things about us, but the city we came from also had a huge contribution. So I would say it's really been a blessing, and I think it's a lesson for our youngsters, because most of the youngsters I see, they're struggling. They don't want to live with their in-laws. They want to be in nuclear families. And then, all the suffering starts because then the support systems are lacking and you're not really at peace with yourself. So I really feel that uh, kind of arrangement really worked very well with us. And we thoroughly enjoyed. We could get up, go for holidays whenever we wanted to. And our in-law, like my mother-in-law, father-in-law, could also go for holidays. Amazing, amazing arrangement, which was mutually beneficial.
And you also have the credit of delivering almost 500 babies, first 500 babies of Nepal. And you have introduced ART into Nepal also. In what way it was different from India and what are the challenges? Even in your place, you said it was a difficult job getting an embryologist, media and disposables, and going to other country without anything is going to be a challenging task. And how did you manage all those challenges?
Kalpana, like both of us, we learned whatever we learned with great difficulty. Like, when I went for my ultrasound training, I stood behind in a huge hall for almost 6 weeks without even touching the probe uh, to learn. And I mean, there were many other issues. So when we came back, we decided that the doors of our hospital will always be open for training for people. We'll make it easy for people to learn because we were very fond of traveling. So we traveled all over the world and in our country also from the length and breadth. And we knew that if we really have to contribute to women's health, the training of the doctors is very, very important. And that is something which brought in people into the hospital for various things. Like once I done my thesis on ultrasound, that was the second thesis in the country. So our doors were open for ultrasound training. Then endoscopy, when we started for endoscopy training. Similarly, when IVF was started, I learned all embryology myself because I was very worried. In case, God forbid, if there were like 40, 50 cases lined up for IVF and if the embryologist doesn't turn up, what am I going to do? So I actually learned all embryology. Though, I mean, I never had to really suffer because of the lack of embryologists. But yes, the fear was always there and the fear was not for myself, but for my patients. These are like people who
Trusted us.
bring in money from whatever resources. And then if I am not giving them my best, it's not really going to be fair to them. So when we were, I think about, we started IVF in 96, 97. We delivered our first baby. In 2003, in between, we had already started helping a few centers in India itself, because there were a lot of centers in North India who came in and they said that we haven't achieved a pregnancy in last 2 years. Can you please come and tell us, troubleshoot for us that what's going really wrong? And so I had already started, helping all those people. And then, Dr. Bhola Rejal he's the senior most gynec in Nepal. He walks into our clinic and he says, I want to set up an IVF clinic in Nepal. So will you help? And I was so happy. I can't even tell you. I said, yes, sir. Anytime. Like, he was the senior most gynec. So we went to Nepal. Nepal was it's a very small country. And Kathmandu, again, was a very small city with very limited resources. But this was a good hospital in Nepal and one of the pioneering one and the senior most gynec. So we established the lab and we also told our embryologist, Dr. Sudesh, that will you help us, help this establish this unit. And that unit did fantastic. And I went every 6 weeks to Nepal for the next 14 years. I mean, it has been a lot of hard work, but it also has been the most rewarding because to help a neighboring country achieve its first IVF pregnancy and IVF baby, and then many more. It's not 500, it has been thousands of babies because 14 years is a very, very long time. And I just stopped going in, I think, about 2017 or so. Uh, and the aim for every unit where we actually supported was that you make them, totally capable of doing all the procedures for IVF themselves. And then we would, sort of retreat from there, basically empowering young gynecologists to deliver the best to our women who actually deserve the best, like you and I deserve. So we had a very different thought process. We never thought of making a chain. And we never thought, like, we just thought that we are going to empower people to do good work so that they can serve the population. So that was a great achievement. And in fact, the Prime Minister of Nepal honored us, even the Health Minister of Nepal honored us with the Nepal Samman, which is one of the biggest, I would say, awards in the country.
And as a Fogsi president, will you please tell your achievements? Because I was the organizing secretary of our Silver Jubilee Conference in 2018. At that time, I contacted you. So I know your presidential tenure very much. So can you please elaborate us your achievements as a president of Fogsi?
See, as I said, I am the third generation gynecologist. So I actually had seen and delivered thousands and thousands of babies. Like every month, 150 babies being delivered for so many years. So it was like, you've delivered the mother or the grandmother and then the daughter, daughter-in-law. And and they were, Agra is a small city. So you know the families, you know their temperaments, you know what the challenges these families are having and what effect it's having on their children. Plus, with my travel with IVF all over the country, because we established more than 20 clinics in North India, not only Nepal, Bangladesh, and many other areas. So what was happening was that the ground level realities are very different from when we are sitting in a tier one city and people who are really, suffering, the pediatricians, the differences between the gynec and the pediatricians, the anesthetists. There were a lot of things which were there in my mind. And the most important issue which I actually, with Naren's presidentship, Naren became president of Foxy in 2008. Then I became vice president of Foxy in 2010. Then in between, Aspire happened. I became president of Asia Pacific Initiative in Reproduction in 2014. So we actually, we have traveled the world. So we actually knew what our country really wants. And at that point of time, there were two major things which were in my mind. One was the doctor-patient relationship, which was at its lowest best. And I felt and I really brainstormed a lot on what is it that is going to help, improve this. Because as doctors, we always say that we have done our best. But actually, we haven't really done our best, because if had we done our best, then this relation should not have been at the level which it was. And I really didn't know how to sort of, because see, for us doctors, the challenges are many. It's firstly our training, then our infrastructures. Most of it was private practice at that point of time. And then how to upgrade. The expectations of the patients are too much from us. And what I saw was that there was a lot of deterioration in the support system for us. Like when I started practice, we had wonderful nurses. Like I mean, the four of us could deliver 150 babies because our nurses were, looking after and monitoring the patients so well. They would just call you when the crowning of the head is there, and you just go and deliver and do the episiotomy or do the cesarean, and the rest was taken care of. But over the years, I saw a lot of deterioration in the training of the nurses, which made our job very, very difficult. And that was something which was there. And the patients don't understand. The patients only relate with you as a doctor. Second important thing which I saw was that a lot of us started thinking that we spent so much money and so many years in our training and in our, studies. So we need to really make up money as fast as possible. And that again became one of the most detrimental issues. Now, patients don't understand that you have studied for 10 years and you have spent so much money. They don't want to pay. They don't have money for medical health. They have money for everything else, but they don't have money to give to a doctor, because a doctor image is very different. So how do you really change? So I was just brainstorming this thing, and then I came up with, I said, there are two areas which I should really work on. One was to make the journey of pregnancy very smooth, holistic, and of course, this will have multiple impacts on not only what the patient feels or the journey, but also on all of us. And that's where the Adbhut Matratva program and the project started. And I think it was one of the most wonderful programs which I would really feel, we could have had, because once you have the holistic approach, once you understand that, in the pregnancy, what a woman goes through can have a huge impact on our future two generations, not only on the woman, but on the future two generations. Because if she's under stress, if she's undernourished, if she's overnourished, her gene expressions are going to be totally different. The personality of the children, so like I've made like 6 films on a lot of these various issues. One of them is Adbhut Matratva, which actually tells us that what a woman goes through a pregnancy can have a deep impact on the personality of the child. Like if you have 3 children or if you have sisters and brothers, why are each one different from the other, coming from the same parents and in from the same house in the same atmosphere? But the journey of your mother has not been same with each one of you. And that is what decides on the disease, disability, and the personality of the children in future. So this is something which has to be understood by us gynecologists. Secondly, when we do that, the relationship with the patient and the family improves. Because the patient also, I firmly believe we are not treating a disease, we are treating a person. Because that person, apart from and pregnancy is not a disease. We have over medicalized pregnancy. Pregnancy is a very normal feature. I have just come from Masai Mara. All these animals deliver, easily. And we have over medicalized it. Now we are doing more cesarean sections, and that also is a reason. Why are we doing more cesarean sections? Because we don't have time to monitor. We are overworked. Our support staff is not there. So these 2 programs, one was Samarth, which was basically, training and skill enhancement of the support staff. And the other was Adbhut Matratva. And both of these programs had very long, I would say, impact on the future of how we gynecologists actually can sort of, work. Now, it is easier said than done. Neither did I have the money nor the resources to, do these programs. And it's very challenging for people like us who become Fogsi presidents and who are, away from Mumbai, where, the interaction is with the pharma companies much, much more. But I would say when you have a good thought, God also helps you. So the first program when we started, I had no money, honestly. Neither I had the resources. So I was in talks with Sister Shivani from the Brahma Kumaris. And the name also came with conversation with her on this issue. So she said, okay, like you can do the whole training program of your doctors in our center in Manesa. So they helped us do the first program of 500 doctors training. And then, a lot of pharma companies came up and supported a lot of these events where we had to actually rethink and make people like our gynecologists rethink that this journey of pregnancy need not be over medicalized. And along with Japaigo, we started with the Samarth program. Now it's continuing in a very different name, but it's okay with me. Name does not matter because the thought is important, that the training of the skill enhancement of the support staff is very important for all of us to function well. Now, while we were doing this, I realized I can't reach out to the patients who need us. So awareness amongst the patients is also very, very important. And that is what gave birth to our app called iMumps, which is doing extremely, extremely well, because again, it is, educating the patients towards the holistic approach towards a pregnancy. And I'm very, very happy to tell you that this app won the Pradhan Mantri's Atmanirbhar App Challenge. We were on the Shark Tanks. We were also on the G20, showcasing the best 20 apps in the country. And we got a lot of funding from good agencies. And today we have reached out to more than like 1 million women. And we've also started the preconception care program, because ultimately pregnancy, you can't really bring about changes in the pregnancy. It has to start from the preconception period. And I mean, we realize that, but to, develop an app also takes a lot of time and efforts. So now we have the preconception part, we have the postpartum part of the app, and we also have parenting for 2 years, because this whole Adbhut Matritva program is basically based on the first 1,000 days of your life. So 280 days in the mother's womb and the 720 days or 2 years afterwards, which actually lay the foundation of what you and I are actually going to be. So I think it's an extremely important area which we worked on. Of course, we worked on many other things. And the next important thing in my tenure was um, interaction with the government. I had a very, very tough time because at that time, if you remember, Sentosanon controversy was on. And I mean, I had to go to the health minister and the Nirman Bhavan number of times. And ultimately, I think because with all these interactions, one of the secretaries said that, Madam, this will not really be helpful. You will have to raise a question in the Lok Sabha. So I was lucky on the way back, from Nirman Bhavan. I contacted a lot of MPs whom I knew personally. And within 24 hours, this question was raised in the Lok Sabha, and this Sentosanon controversy actually settled down, which was a real achievement for all of us, I would say. Similarly, during the ESAR presidentship, the ART and the Surrogacy Act was coming up. And so there have been huge challenges. Then we had the hysterectomy issues and the cesarean section issues with the government of India, and I had to go and explain to them that, uh, it's not every cesarean is unnecessary, or not every hysterectomy is being done and unnecessarily. So that representation was also very important. And I was so happy that at that time, Mr. Nadda, JP Nadda was the health minister, and even Anupriya Patel was the union health minister. So the PMNCH program and the PMSMA program, which were actually being, India is a huge player in PMNCH, and also the Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan of Pradhan Mantri. So he actually at that time said that we are going to link Adbhut Matritva with the PMSMA. And there was a huge congregation which they called me to address the concept. And I feel happy that, they are following all those holistic approaches now in the public sector, and which is a very important aspect. And I feel quite blessed because this is something which a change is important. And during this program, when IMUMS, actually COVID happened when we started the app. And it was just the launch of the app. And in COVID now, number of women are asking you what to do, what. And if you remember, a lot of our Foxians, every day in the morning, we started with a yoga session for the people on the app. Anybody could join in. And in the evening, one of our Foxy members would be there for 1 hour to address all the questions which all these women had. Sitting in their homes, they could not get out during that COVID period. So it was a huge boost to the awareness of the Adbhut Matritva program also. And I think it's continuing well. And only thing is that in our country, we don't have uniform thoughts and a uniform approach towards problems. We are too, segregated and diverse. And those are the issues I feel that all of us have to still think together. It's good to be diverse, but then, for a good thought, we need to be together. And those are again the challenges which we need to really address to have a greater impact in general for our population. So I would say there have been many highlights during my tenure, but since with the paucity of time, these are the few which I would really say that were the highlights.
Yeah, you brought about PMNCH, WHO. You are a member of that, and what do you feel about global priorities to improve women health compared to Indian priorities? Is there any difference, or uh, how do you feel about it?
PMNCH is a partnership in maternal, newborn, and child health. It's a part of WHO. India plays a very big role in this. The main important thing is that there are so many countries, and the ones like the people from the lower income countries which are really low. Like I'm sitting in Kenya, and the maternal mortality rate of Kenya is 594. So you can imagine, like, such a diverse challenges which the WHO also faces. Now, the aim for PMNCH was, and if I talk about India, we brought down our maternal mortality quite a lot. But if I tell you the prematurity, it's three times more of China. We have the same number of births. So there are a lot of issues which we have to still address. And I actually work for the accountability group of PMNCH, which basically, makes countries accountable. So there were a lot of things which we were working on. One was Born Too Soon. There's a huge document which has come up for on prematurity, on gender disparity, which is again a huge issue, and not only in the our region but all over the world. These gender disparities and inequities are there, which need our help. And again, with the White Ribbon Alliance, what women want on adolescent health, we have 1.8 million billion adolescents in the world, and they need to be sort of, channelized in their health system in the best possible way. So there are lots of issues, and the main thing is that a directive can come from the WHO or from the PMNCH, but who has to follow? The governments have to follow, and the people, under these governments also have to follow. And that is one of the biggest challenges of implementation of any program, the awareness of any program. So those are the things which we are trying to sort of, work on and see how best can be done.
And you became president of Aspire even before becoming Foxy president. How was the journey?
It's a huge story again. Some women have a lot of challenges. Uh, it is something, and especially coming from a tier two city, no matter how you may be, but to climb up a ladder with all the challenges which are there. I'm writing a book, you will soon read just because I'm a girl, is there. But I also feel that when you are there with the most positive approach, God helps you. So I was invited to give a talk in Aspire conference in Bangkok. And as luck would have it, it was like for me, in that circle, it was the first time I got an invitation. And that time Bangkok was having a huge red shirt, some agitation was going on. So they shifted the conference from Bangkok to uh, Pattaya. And we were like 500 Indians going for that conference, and everyone dropped out. So Naren told me, let's also not go. I said, no, this is the first time I have got a talk. I will definitely go. So, like, I am a go-getter. I normally don't get scared because all these Nepal, Bangladesh, I traveled when all the agitations were going on. I would travel in the ambulance. I never got really scared of the issues which the countries normally face. So I said, oh, I'm going. I went there. I delivered my talk, and Bruno Lonenfield, I'm sure everyone knows him. He invented the gonadotropins. He said, Jaydeep, why don't you come and attend the General Assembly? I had no clue about Aspire. So I went and I sat down in the General Assembly, and then they asked, okay, we want some country reps. So who's going to represent the country? Obviously, I stood up and then, oh, I want to, represent. So I was taken up as a country rep. Now, from the country reps, they choose the members of the board. Now, when they were talking, like, because I had traveled so much and I had worked so much in the country and otherwise also in the other countries, so I was able to give a lot of suggestions in the board meeting. So out of those country reps, they choose 8 board members. So I was chosen as one of the board members in the very first 2 years of my, attending the Aspire. Now, from the board, after 2 years, they choose who's going to be at the president. So it was like in Osaka, we were having a conference, and Professor Robert Norman was the president at that time, and Yoshi Morimoto was going to be there. He organized. So they all came to me and they said, Jerry, we want to nominate you as the president of Aspire. I said, oh, no, because in Foxy it is different. I said, no, make me the treasurer. I want to work for the organization. So there's nothing like this. You can only stay on the board for 4 years. So you finished your 2 years, and next is either you take the post or you will have to step down. Obviously, what would I have done? But I think for as not only for me, for Aspire, it was a game-changing thing because Aspire was run at a very different scale. It was a very small scale, run by people, who actually were not very well versed with our region, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or so. They were all high-income countries: Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China. So it gave them a lot of insight into our region, and I introduced a lot of people from our region to be on the various committees. We started with we did, lot of issues, the regional conferences, master classes. I started a lot of things for Aspire, which became like a good awareness, and Aspire was seen in a very different way. So in fact, Aspire also sort of awarded me with the my contributions to Aspire in the last Aspire conference in Manila. So it has been a great journey, but I feel it was more lucky because of the hard work which has gone behind, and God looks after.
And you are into almost every organization. I can tell in FIGO also you have just completed chairpersonship of reproductive endocrinology and infertility committee. And what was your activities and achievements you have completed in FIGO?
See, Kalpana, when people say that I've headed like 7 organizations nationally and internationally, I never ever started working with the intention of becoming a president of any organization. I only worked with the aim that, I am capable, I am empowered, and I can contribute. So I actually contributed to every organization to the whatever best of my capabilities. FIGO also came in uh, a surprise because Dr. C.N. Purandare rang up and said that, would you like to join the REI committee? Now, once I joined the REI committee, all the projects which we were doing, all the contributions are acknowledged. And then I took over as the chair of the REI committee. And we worked on a lot of projects like position statements on fertility preservation. Basically, FIGO looks at the issues which, need to be addressed in the regions. It's more like, like the very advanced world to not so advanced and the middle ones. So basically, sort of doing a collaboration. In our committees also, we have members from all over the world. We have about 8 members. Some of them can be co-opted. So we are very, very particular in choosing the members. So it has to be a mix so that the very advanced countries can actually help the other countries to come up. A lot of skill enhancement. Like today also, after I finish this interview, we're going to do a workshop on ART, and right from setting up of a basic lab to all the other simulators and all. So training now this is in Africa, so we have a lot of people from Africa who are registered. So this basically has been the aim. Then coming out with books, we did a lot of podcasts and the events all over the world. which are continuing. And I think it has been a great, great association and a lot of good contributions.
And the leftover is Suffolk, I think. You are the editor-in-chief of Suffolk. And what is your experience and about publications on all those
Yeah.
things worldwide?
See, SAFOG and also South Asian, I have been the president of the South Asian Federation of Menopause Societies also, and also Indian Menopause Society. Now, as I said, my life has been an evolution. Like when you're young, all that OBGYN, then ultrasound, then endoscopy, then IVF, and then now menopause and the other PGT and other things, and even ESAR. ESAR also, like, especially in ESAR clinical consensus, as I said, we need uniform practices. So those guidelines are very, very important. But unfortunately, as I said, we make guidelines, but people really, we don't know how to implement them. Now, CEFOG, because I traveled so much in the whole of South Asia, uh, I mean, all these countries, we established a clinic in Nepal, we established a clinic in Bangladesh. A lot of patients used to come to us from Pakistan, and I had very close relationships with people there in Sri Lanka. So the region was very, very well known, and I would attend right from the very beginning. The first one, CEFOC conference, which we attended in Sri Lanka, we continued, you know, uh, doing work for them. And as luck would have it, when we started with the journal of CEFOG, so now the publications of our region are not really at par, I would say, with the Western world. And we have a lot of challenges as far as the amount of research is concerned. But that does not mean that it's only the research which is going to be published, but the kind of clinical data which we have in our region is huge. So I believe that, where is research going to come from? It is based on the clinical data. So we started with the CEFOG journal. Naren was, the editor before, and then I took over from him. Was a platform for this region to publish their data. And I feel very, very happy that we have come a very long way. Today, CEFOG Journal is doing very, very well. In fact, we started with the South Asian Journal for the Menopause Societies also, which is also doing very well. But CEFOG Journal has been exceptionally well, as far as performance is concerned. And today it is being indexed, and the number of papers we are receiving is not only from the CEFOG region, but from other countries also. So this is a basic platform for our region to, publish their clinical data and other things, so that it gives people some way to represent. Similarly, like when I was in Aspire, people would say, "Oh, what is it? Like, why should we have these clinical talks or lectures to be given by, these low-income countries? Only very high-quality researchers would get lectures." So I changed the format. I said, no, because the clinical experiences are also equally important, and not only the research, because research may not be applicable. The kind of research is happening in the world, by the time it gets applied to the lower income countries, it's a long way. So it's a very, very nice, and plus it keeps me totally academically updated. Again, I also see as my personal growth when I do all these work.
Yeah, you also edited almost 60 books. That is unimaginable. How do you balance your research or publication work and clinical work and personal responsibilities and association responsibilities?
See, if I say that I have done it all alone, it is not possible. We have always believed in being inclusive. So all these books have been, with co-editors, and like, Naren and I have been very, very, collaborative in this. And a lot of these chapters have been contributed by many people. So, as I said, our ethos has been different. Our ethos has been to take people along in our journey towards, advancing. And that's exactly what we have done as far as these books are concerned. And these books also because, Indian thought process, Indian management, like I wrote one book on infertility management in low resource areas for the AO fog. Now, because all these areas are very different, we can't really follow the Western world in our approach towards management, but we have developed our own approach. And at that point of time, I wrote about the hub and spoke pattern of management of infertility. And now, like, connecting the primary, secondary, and then to the tertiary care, which is being followed by all these IVF chains now. So they have made these tertiary units, and then the secondary and the primary units are serving them. So I wrote long time back. So these are sort of ideas which needed to be dispersed, and of course, as I said, uh, a joint family to look after, and pitch in wherever you're required. And then a group of people who are like-minded, who are, going to be there with you uh, in front or in back to take the thought forward is something which has worked in, being able to do so much work, which we have been able to achieve.
And what is Club 35? The name is very unique.
Yeah.
So let us know about Club 35.
See, when I became the member of the Indian Menopause Society, I actually did not know much about menopause and its management. And I was also in my I would say early 40s, maybe just about 39 or 40 years old. And at that point of time, I attended one of the clinical consensus meetings of the Indian Menopause Society. And that happened in Delhi. So while I was coming back, driving back from Delhi to Agra, I was just thinking, all this like 3, 4 days of discussion which we did, what is the use for any one of us if it is not really dispersed to the population which requires? So if I know something, and if the people who really need it are not aware of it, it's absolutely going to be useless. So I came back and I started this Club 35, and it has a meaning, 35 plus, because by the time, you reach 35, most of the times, like the families are complete, women have a little time for themselves. They are in the perimenopausal age group, and, their husbands are also settled. So they have time to look after themselves and also prepare for the life to come. It's a very, very important aspect. And in fact, I myself had suffered so much. I had severe spondylitis, and I was on the brink of getting a spinal surgery done. And then I went for my consultation to UK to one the best neurosurgeons. And he said, all what you have to do is, do a good exercise, which is important. Your back strengthening muscles are which is what is required. And I would put all these things together and I said, no, if I know this, I need to teach women on all the hormonal imbalances, all the nutritional deficiencies, or the exercises which need to be done. So we put it all together into a thematic based, Club 35 plus, and address them. So once I started this Club 35 plus in Agra, then, people from Delhi, from Faridabad, they all came up and said, can we start? Now it became like a chain. And then later on, the Indian Menopause Society said, we want to adopt this club. And then it became the public awareness space of Indian Menopause Society. And I'm happy to tell you that the British Menopause Society invited me twice to have this concept launch in Britain. And because this is something which is a very, very important aspect, because more and more women are reaching this age and living in the postmenopausal period for a much longer time. They need to be aware of it. This Club 35 Plus is totally based on that.
Actually, you have started ART in the early half of this improvement. How did you balance emotional and ethical
Yeah. See, I feel since there were no guidelines at that point of time, but ultimately, you are your own cop. Now, it's important. We always say that, self-restraint and are a few things which we need to. And ethics was not a subject when we were educated in MBBS. Ethics came into the medical education much, much later. I would say just a few years back only. Now, ultimately, what are you educated when once you are in a process of evolving? These are few things which are very important. And as I said, we had no support staff. Even today, how many counselors are there in ART clinics? We doctors have to do a lot of these jobs. Now, till date, I feel that with the kind of challenges which I have faced, probably I can be the best counselor. But of course, there is always a paucity of time. So these two important things, especially the emotional, and it's not only our patient's emotions when they have a negative test. Even we are also emotional. We also feel equally bad, when a negative test comes. And I think all those sensitivities and thoughts have to be shared with the patient. They also have to know that we are not God. We can only help them to a certain extent. And as far as I would say ethics is concerned, uh, ethics is also not only for us. I have had many occasions when the patients have been very unethical. So you have to be, on at your positive, I would say, humbly communicative best to address all this. Plus, of course, you have to sort of lead by inspiration. So if you are straightforward and if you say, okay, if you're asking for something which is not ethically right, I'm not going to provide. And that has been my motto right from day one as a young child also. So I continued, and I think the self regulation, apart from the guidelines, is very, very important for your own self. Because a lot of times we say, oh, we were helping the patient. Of course, you're not helping the patient. Because anything which is done unethically is not helping anyone. Because you will live with that thought in your head. And I would say that your aura as a doctor is totally different if you are not an ethical doctor. So I really firmly believe that the kind of work which you do with the honesty which you do will totally reflect on your face, which is important. And for us to be honest, truthful, to be empathetic, sympathetic, inclusive, I mean, we need all the adjectives along with the work which we do. So it's very important for us to be an inspiration, not only for our youngsters, but also for our patients.
As a pioneer in the field of reproductive medicine, what do you think the future ART would be?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. This is one of the most interesting branches as far as obs and gynae is concerned. Now, and now with AI coming up, with automation coming up, with so much technology coming up, uh, it's going to be a totally different branch. I mean, in my lab, we have so many, we have AI, we have the witnessing systems, we have almost every possible thing which right now is available. But I feel the man behind the machine is always important. So if people think that, okay, they'll go away, do away with of certain things because technology is going to be there, the answer is no. Technology is there to help us. Sorry, my battery is going down. I'm just going to connect it to the. So the technology is going to help us in every possible way, but the man behind has to decide on how we're going to use that technology. So the future is really, really bright. especially, with all that PGT and the genetics coming up. The I think it's going to be a different world. And today in the morning only I was reading, people who were born between the 60s and the 80s have been the best benefactors in the sense that they survived uh, without all the technology. When we were born, there were not even mobile phones. The television set also came up during that point of time, and we survived with all that. And today we are thriving with all the technology which is available to us. But I feel our children should not suffer because the technology will do all that work for them. We have to train them to do, a lot of things and do a lot of thinking themselves. Then just the technology helping them, perform all their factors. So ART has a wonderful, wonderful, I would say, future. But yes, certain things have to be thought over on how we are going to apply.
Yeah, with so many years of experience, what is the message to the budding gynecologists who are watching this?
I would say, like, first and the foremost important thing is, of course, life um, and destiny play a very different role. But a clarity of thought is very important on how you're going to lead your life, which direction you're going to move, and then to train yourself amply to be able to, move in that direction. And of course, then serve the population. See, our um, I would say the profession is basically of service. So we have to keep service in the center uh, of whatever we are doing. So, and then serve with honesty. Once you are serving with honesty, sky is the limit to where you can be actually taken. And if we all follow the same, I'm sure, all these things which I've been talking about the doctor-patient relationship or your own quality of life, which again we neglect, all those are going to be much more streamlined. And another last thing which I would say is teamwork. Collaborative teamwork is extremely important, not only for service provision, but for your own quality of life, because your family, you yourself are also equally important.
Yeah, the journey is your story is very impressive, and hope it will motivate many of the young gynecologists to go for ethical practice. At the same time, hard work will take them to the higher position. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your experience and also your journey. I
Thank you.
once again thank Sunita Tandulwadkar, ma'am, President of Fogsi, who had given us this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to each and every one of you. And heartiest congratulations to Sunita for a wonderful, wonderful tenure. She has done extremely well. And we are all very, very proud of her as the president of Foxy. And thank you, Kalpana, for a great interaction.